Welcome back. With the return of Udoka Azubuike and the potential return of Silvio De Sousa, if the NCAA agrees with the appeal that KU made last week, this upcoming basketball season may not be as dreary for the Jayhawks as some might expect. The last recruits coming out of high school for 2019 are not likely to be signing with Kansas, but there is one area the Jayhawks could get a decent amount of firepower from, and that is through the grad transfers. Just a quick rundown of the grad transfer program intent, and then we will go over some of the potential names for Kansas. Grad transfers are student athletes who have graduated from their university before using up their playing eligibility. The intent of the program is for student athletes to go and pursue a degree of interest that may not have been offered at their undergraduate school. But according to the NCAA, a good amount of grad transfers drop out before even finishing their postgraduate studies. 3 names to watch for grad transfers. The first is Matej Kavas. He is the 6'8" forward from Seattle, and in his career, he has shot 45% from three-point range. One concern, though, is he's not fast enough to get out of the big man position. And the second name that I want to talk about here is actually Matt Milon. I'm sorry, Mateo was right here. He is the 6'5" wing from William Mary. Milon is 42% from three-point land, and that's on 464 attempts. He could add some shooting ability to the bench. And the last and probably the most likely for the Kansas Jayhawks to land is Rajan Tucker. He's a 6'5" guard from Arkansas Little Rock, and he is a 42% shooter from 3. Anyone else noticing a trend here? He could add a quick element that the Jayhawks lacked last year in the perimeter defense. He is visiting Lawrence in early May as well. The Kansas baseball team is back in town from a weekend in Morgantown from the one game against the Creighton Blue Jays. The game starts at 6 p.m. Steve Wasilewski is starting tonight for the Jayhawks against a pretty decent Blue Jay team. Wasilewski has a 2-1 record to go along with a 3.62 ERA this season. Creighton's record is 23-8, and they're on a 4-game winning streak. The season stats for the Kansas Jayhawks and Creighton Blue Jays are extremely close. They're only 7 hits apart from being even in the season's totals as well as their RBIs. The two teams are only 10 apart from being even, so this should be a very even matchup for the Jayhawks and Blue Jays. And in the last 10 games for Kansas, they have won 5 games and lost 5 games. And being there only are 3 Big 12 series left in Texas and TCU in Kansas State. This could be big for the Jayhawks if they want to go on somewhat of a winning streak to close out their season. And there's new information out about the Chiefs wide receiver Tyreke Hill, who was under investigation for child abuse and neglect back in March when officers visited his residence. Johnson County District Attorney Steve Howe just had a press conference today at 3 p.m. where he announced that he will not file charges in this investigation. He acknowledged that a crime was committed, but there was no conclusive evidence to who committed that crime. This is huge news for the Chiefs organization, as this is the first word since the investigations were thrown out there. Fans have been anxiously waiting on anything to be said about this speedy wide receiver. Tyreke is not exactly in the clear right now. The next step will be an NFL investigation of the incident. Since Tyreke was not charged by the DA, there's a good chance that Tyreke will receive little to no punishment going into the season next year. That's all we have for sports for you today. What is left in the news, Emily?